Hello, welcome. This is ananas comosas. Ananas meaning excellent fruit. Comosas meaning tufts at the base where the plant is born on the stalk. The stalk that bears the plant has got tufts on it. So the botanical name for the pineapple is Ananas comosas. Ananas comosas is the general name for the pineapple, right? And there are many variations of the pineapple, so wild variations. In cultivation, there are about 30 commercial varieties of pineapples. There could be more by now. Some of the research that I've done, obviously, some of them, there might be some older versions and newer versions. So 30 plus varieties, let's put it that way. And two are mainly grown in South Africa. Now, if you're watching my YouTube channel and you're not from South Africa, then you'll probably have the two and some more. If you're in the tropics, you'll probably have a greater variety. If you're in South America, well, then the pineapple's home. I ain't got nothing on you, kind of thing. Okay, so the reason I decided to do this episode is because pineapples are bromeliads, right? And I am, safe to say, obsessed with bromeliads. Also, oh geez, sand. Thanks, Adrian, for the pineapple. A friend of mine, Adrian, got me this pineapple for this episode because I'd forgotten to buy one and I was already at work, so I asked him to get me one on the way. And this one's smelling amazing already. This costs 22 Rand if you're in South Africa. This is 2024, 2nd or 3rd of March. Yeah, so that's the price, the going price of a pineapple. Okay, you can obviously tell that it's a different day. I've done this episode now a dozen times. I'm so tired of pineapples. Okay, what I wanted to say is, so you would know that pineapples don't have seed. Why is that? Well, because pineapples are some of those plants that don't believe in cousins make dozens, right? So, which means they're self-infertile. And the way I have it is that they are all clones of one another in certain varieties. And so you have, if you've got like two plants that are of a different genetic strain, seed will be set and your pineapple will have seed. But for the most part, they don't. So if I have that like not all square, please let me know. Anyways, aside from that, so obviously there are wild pineapples as well as the pineapple, which is Ananas comosas variation comosas. Then you've got Ananasoides, which is going to be my next Wi-Fi password because it just rolls off the tongue so beautifully. You've got Erectifolia. It's a crazy windy day today, not my favorite. Sargensis, Macrodontus. Did I say Erectifolia? Well, Erectifolia. Yeah, and Paraguayensis. It's also been pronounced as Paraguayensis, which I don't know. It must be a synonym of one another because basically it refers to Paraguay. Yeah, and that's pretty much that. So you have the wild variety in the family as well as the cultivated variety. Why is it that we always make the association with Hawaii? Hawaii, Hawaiian pizza, Hawaiian this, Hawaiian that means pineapple on it. Why is that? Well, let me tell you why. Because from South America, the pineapple variety that was taken across and perfected there was smooth cayenne. That is a very common pineapple in South Africa as well. Out of all of those 30 varieties, we have two in the country. It's either called a sugarloaf or a Natal Queen, right? It's a similar variety. And then you have smooth cayenne, which is my favorite variety, I guess. And this is the same variety that was grown in Hawaii up until the late 90s to the early 2000s, after which the companies were apparently disbanded and there was some infighting, blah, 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 shifting around of ownership. And it ended up in Costa Rica, which is where pineapples are grown largely today, but not the biggest producer. There are some larger producers in other parts of the world. This, I think it's because of the length of time that they were grown and sold from Hawaii that we got this sort of like thought process that we make this association with Hawaii meaning pineapple. Excuse me. The irony is that pineapples are not indigenous to Hawaii, which is interesting, isn't it? Okay. The first pineapple that was brought to Africa, recorded in ship logs or wherever it was recorded, was 1548, right? Like, I've done a lot of bromeliad episodes. I've never distinctly, I can remember that there isn't a bromeliad earlier than that has reached any country. I mean, aside from Europe, of course, but because it went there and it came here. 1548 was the recorded date for the first pineapple hitting Africa's coast, and ever since it's been eaten and grown, and in some places it's naturalized. Now, the pineapple is known for a whole lot of different things. You can make fabric. I'm looking at a pineapple, sorry if I'm looking off screen, but I'm looking at one of the wild varieties that is really eye-catching, and I'll show you in a second. You can make fabric from them. Okay, so you have, I think it's called pina cloth, which is a type of cloth made from the fibers of the pineapple leaf, the bromeliad's leaf, and then you get the fruit. We have juices. It gets used as an additive for so many different things, and bromeliad is where we get the word bromelain from, the proteolytic enzyme, which is basically found in all bromeliads, particularly the pineapple, and it's quite evenly distributed through the pineapple's tissues, through all of it, which can get used to tenderize meat. It breaks down proteins. Okay, so that's why when you bite a pineapple and you feel that sort of burning sensation, that's what that is. It's actually, that stinging comes from the bromelain. Okay, cool. Let us take a look at some of the wild types of ananas. Okay, brace yourself, because this one is stunning. This is a wild pineapple. Introducing Ananas camosus bracteatus variation tricolor. Tricolor meaning it has three colors: white, red, and green. Now this is a wild type of pineapple. I've had to put my gloves on because this lady does not play. She don't play, man. Look at those serrated teeth. Okay, so she is really stunning. It is a very big plant. Okay, there's a pup right there. It's a very beautiful, it's a striking ananas. And to be honest, I never really liked ananas very much. I don't know why, but that's changed. So that's in the past now. I'm fully obsessed with them now too. And you can see that they also hold water down in the bottom. Okay, so this will, that's a moth right there. So this will actually produce, it will produce a very big red pineapple when it begins to bloom. Okay, that is one. Now let's take a look at Ananas camosus bracteatus without the tricolor. Okay, tons of bromeliads. This really needs to get sorted out because it's being shaded out and it's a full sun plant for the most part. But this is a bracteatus without the variegation in the leaf. Okay, so that is a Ananas camosus bracteatus. Okay, variation bracteatus. Okay, so that is the two varieties of wild pineapple. Okay, once I move it out here, it actually does the same thing as the one you just saw, same sort of shape, but you can tell how overgrown it is, how shaded out it is, because it's standing under quite a big tree back here. And initially when I planted it, this tree was not here earlier. Okay, now let's go and have a look at an actual pineapple. No, before we do that, let's take a look at a miniature pineapple. Okay, this is a tinier pineapple. Okay, these are a series of pups growing together. Okay, the mother was over there, but they don't get much bigger than this. So this is a tiny pineapple plant that produces a pineapple that is edible, but it's more sort of ornamental. Okay, so this is based on the smooth cayenne, and there must be some other varieties in there. As to the varieties, I am totally not sure, because when they do things for ornamental cultivation, they often don't, I don't know, keep records or give people the records. They just kind of grow something pretty and then they sell it to you. So I was one of those oafs that bought it. Okay, then we've got this guy. This is another variation on tricolor, but it is not on bracteatus, but it isn't the same. Okay, so I'm just waiting for this guy to actually gain some momentum and get a little bigger, but you can definitely see the little teeth along the edge of the leaf there. I'm not sure if that's showing up clearly, but yeah. Okay, now let's go to the actual edible pineapple, so we can get growing and show you how to do this. This is a little pineapple when it starts off. Okay, it's a tiny little pineapple just as it begins to grow. And if I back out, you can see the size of the plant. So pineapple plants are usually quite big. This is a small version of a smooth cayenne, and you can see that I can actually grab it, and there are no spines along the margins of the leaves. Sometimes they have a slight serration. Yeah, down at the bottom I can feel that there are some. But for the most part, it is a smooth plant. Okay, now that one is starting to go red. It's blushing, is what we say. And the flowers, you can actually see there are still individual flowers, right? And those will eventually fuse to form the pineapple. So this is a smooth cayenne, and you can see that is actually a fairly nice sized pineapple. Got pretty big hands, and by comparison to the previous pineapple I showed you, it's not far behind. It's still got a bit of development to do, but I imagine it's going to ripen quite soon. So it's virtually the same size. So when I said I'll show you the difference, look at the difference right there. So let me just try and angle this camera. That is a Natal queen, or a queen pineapple as we call them in South Africa, versus the smooth cayenne, which has no spines. Okay, juicing, canning. This is the one you find in, you go on holiday to tropical countries and things like that. You would find them quite often. And then this one here is kind of your commercial, I guess, at least for South Africa, pineapple. Okay, this one is you can see it's sitting on a stalk. It's actually growing on a stalk, and that is where Camosus comes from. Now it's supposed to have tufts of fur. Where the tufts are, Lord only knows, but yeah, that's what it means in Latin. Here you can see the individual flowers that have now been spent, okay, and then each individual flower becomes a fruit, and those fruits, as they mature, they fuse together to form this sauruses, which is basically a syncarp, which is basically a berry, which is basically a composite berry. And that is your pineapple. Now, what else can we say about this? I've got the smooth cayenne. I've got the queen, which is growing, the one let's just grab it again. This one here, okay, that is the queen. This is the same plant. So the queen, if you buy it from the shop, then you can grow them like this. And you can see they're sitting in full sun. Now you want to try and avoid absolute all day direct sunlight, because especially for smooth cayenne does not like all day full sun, because you can see how the leaves are burning a little bit. There you can see it had too little water for a period, and so the leaves died back. Okay, that's what that means. That said, why is a pineapple so successful? It is successful because it has incredible drought tolerance. Now, 37 degrees consistently with no water, that's what happened in this situation. And then they stress. But if you have temperatures lower than that, I'd say at least 18 to 15 degrees to about 30 degrees, that should be good for the pineapple to develop. Also, they are drought tolerant. So let me take a look at the soil and show you how dry the soil is. Do you see that? And this pineapple is growing. Now, as you get closer to the plant, you actually get to see that there is some moisture right by the plant, because I water them directly. And then there's a root, a pineapple root right there. So they've got an adventitious root system. As with most bromeliads, they don't like disturbance on the roots. I mean, they don't mind, but they're not going to replenish their root systems once disturbed, at least not those roots that you damaged. Further up that damaged root, they will regenerate new roots, but lower down, nothing will happen. Okay, and when you feed them, you can very happily you can feed into these slots over here, into this, which is called a phytotalmata, into the urn or the phytotalmata of the plant, and it will collect the moisture down in there. There are roots down in there underneath these leaf bracts as well, and they will absorb nutrients and water quite effectively through those roots. So all's not lost if you damage the roots in the ground. Try not to, but it can still absorb nutrients and moisture through the leaf bases. Okay, that is true for most bromeliads. Now, in terms of anatomy, this is the crown. Okay, that is the crown. You will have some secondary growth on some of them, and particularly the wild varieties will sometimes give you some more crowns. Auxiliary crowns, I think they're called. And then you'll have some crowns coming, some shoots coming out from the base here, some pups, okay? But generally, if I want to recultivate this, I'm gonna take from the bottom. So somewhere along the bottom here, we will find the pineapple will produce a new pineapple. For example, if I just pan off to the right here, you can see that this one has got a pineapple just coming out the side there. Okay, there's another variety, but a miniature, which hasn't been looked after very well, but that's a whole different story. You want to sever that sucker from the mother and then pot her up in the way that we're going to show you with this guy. So if you don't have a sucker because you don't have a pineapple, go get a pineapple, much like this one, or any pineapple really that has a crown. You want an intact crown, because I see some stores and shops and things will cut the crown off of it, or they'll twist it off. You want to get a pineapple with a crown in order to grow your own pineapple, and this is what you're going to do. I'm literally just gonna balance, stick it between my knees, and I'm gonna grab the pineapple and give it a gentle twist, and then that is going to come off. Then I'm going to peel these off. Okay, let's put that back down there and just wedge that between my legs. And it looks like I'm being really rough, and that's okay, because the pineapple can handle it. And I'm just going to take off all of these leaves. Okay. Ow. And how do you decide how many leaves to take off? Well, I just kind of go by, I just want a nice kind of bit of a butt, for the pineapple to kind of sit in the pot. So let's just take that last one off there. There we go. And you're good. So you can take more from that if you want. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but that's about as much as you need. So now what you can do is, if you live in the tropics, you want to put some cinnamon or a fungicide on that, because in the tropics there are lots of viruses that are happy to kill and eat a pineapple plant. But where I am, I don't need to do that. So do you need to let it sit and dry? Not really. Is it better if it dries? Yes. But for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to let it dry for a whole day and then wait so that we can grow it. I'm going to put it in with you right now. Okay, let's do that. Right, in this container I have got some vermiculite, some perlite, some coconut chip, and some orchid mix, some bark, so pine bark. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, I've just got some controlled release fertilizer right here. I'm just going to pour some in. Okay, okay, so mix it up, and this will be a really nice mix for, oh, and also there is some mold peat, sphagnum peat. You don't need to put that in there. You can use coconut peat as well, like regular coconut peat. The idea is that you just want like a really spongy, fluffy, free draining mix. The perlite will see to it that it is free draining. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pot like so. Okay, just going to scoop it up like that. Grab my pineapple, which I've now cleaned, right? No water, no standing it in water until the roots come out, and you can do all of that, but it's not necessary. Remember, pineapples are so successful because of their drought tolerance. So then I'm just going to fold that in around the side. It's okay if you get it into some of the leaves. And this is how I grow all of my pineapples and other bromeliads. So, well, most. The desert varieties need a different soil. Let me just go off camera and tighten this with both my hands. And that is your finished product. So now all you do is you give it a good watering. It's okay, even if it's not, if the bottom isn't calloused and dry, that's fine. You're just going to give it a bit of water just to make sure all the medium is nice and wet. And then you're going to put it into a space with bright, direct morning sun. And let it drain out the bottom. Okay. And soon you'll begin to see a burst of new growth. And then you're going to wait. Now, pineapples can produce fruit between, I've heard, as little as 9 months, 11 months to 15 months. And I've also seen them go up to 4 years before they flower. Okay, so the further you are away from the equator, the longer, my assumption is, the longer it will take for it to fruit. Okay, so there you go. That is how to grow a pineapple. Now it's 2 weeks on since we filmed this episode. The start, the first part of it. And I realized I didn't tell you what to do with the pineapple once you'd potted it up. So essentially, you can do one of two things. You can do what I've done here and plant them into the ground once you see new growth and the plant has taken a hold of that pot in terms of root space, and then just let it grow on to maturity until it flowers. Or you can keep it in a pot if you live in like an apartment or something, and you've got like a little outdoor area, or temperature is an issue for you, then keep it in the pot, but upsize the pot once the root mass is increased and the plant needs to be repotted, which is generally I'd say after about a year. And yeah, just put it into a bigger pot, and then just keep doing that until it flowers, and then you'll have one of these guys here. So you can actually see that this one's grown quite a bit just in 2 weeks. I'm actually quite surprised. I thought that it would be ready at any moment, but yeah, good. I'm happy. The other one's doing, it's now sort of emerged quite a bit more and is doing really well too. So there we go. Okay, comments, questions, blah 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 blah. Shout. I hope this episode was useful, and I'll catch you in the next one, I guess. Okay, bye.